Welcome to We Don't Have Cookies with your host, Jason Marshall.
Hey everybody, it's week 2, show 3 of the Festival of Friendship, and I got a good one for you today. Starting off the show is one of the longest running segment contributors to the podcast. He's also a frequent guest of the show. He's a comedian, he's an actor, he's an author, he's a Facebook user. He's Mike Canestaro.
That's right. I'm a Facebook user, and Facebook uses me, though, too. I want to qualify that. Facebook gets a lot of, oh boy, what's going on over there?
I think it's the ghost.
Let's not
get into that
Let's
later.
do that at the end like last time, please, ghosts.
Well, the reason I wanted to have you on is you've done so many segments for the show, and this is the Festival of Friendship where we're bringing in all the family to get together for the Thanksgiving feast.
Ooh.
It all started with the short-lived Funky Fun Facts segment.
That's right, yeah.
Then we moved into the Not for Children stories, and that's one of my favorite segments ever.
Okay.
It really is.
Yeah. I mean, I that was out of my book, the Not for Children stories. Funky Fun Facts, I think, became Science with Mike is what happened. It couldn't be less than like a minute long. You know what I mean? I just wanted to elaborate so much, and then there was no short story. You know what so then I kind of just ran out of stuff that I could say in a minute. Yeah, Not for Children's story. Then I've done a couple other goofy voices and stuff, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, the latest is your segment as Betty Sue with the reverse prank phone calls.
That's right. I need to do some more of those too.
Yeah, those are a lot of fun.
Yeah. I have a landline, and I get so much shit calls that I really need to, like over winter break when I'm at home during the day, I need to really capitalize on some of these some more and just have some. My kid has a keyboard with like farm animal noises. I need to incorporate that next.
Yeah,
I don't know
neat.
if Betty Sue could do it. It might be another character.
I thought about bringing back some of the Not for Children stories because it's been a while since I've played those.
Yeah.
And they're a lot of fun to listen to. If you're listening to this on the radio, you have heard those recently. I do want to apologize to the radio listeners because I know the podcasts have been shorter lately. There's been a lot of filler, a lot of older segments, and a lot of the same songs you may have already heard. And I will have an announcement next week about what's going on with the music on the show. So if you're listening to this on the radio, just
Sounds
stay
juicy.
tuned, sit tight, everything will be fine.
Cool.
Don't get annoyed.
All right.
But you've also done quite a few other segments. Some I've used, some I haven't yet.
I got to admit, I don't necessarily remember them all.
Yeah.
I know I sent you a file, and there was a period where I was waiting for my kid to get out of work. She was 16, but she couldn't drive yet by herself.
Mm-hmm.
And she was working in an ice cream place. And I'd have to wait outside the ice cream place. Talk about like feeling like a sexual predator. And then I would wait for her to get out of work, and I had to park way far away, but I'd bring my voice recorder and I would just knock shit out that was on my mind, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those were a lot of fun. I was going through my desktop the other day, just trying to organize it a little bit. And I found some that I haven't played yet. So either we're going to get to those sometime in the next few weeks or months, or I might just save them for a best of Mike Canestaro episode.
Oh, great.
As unplayed segments. You know?
Yeah, I like doing voices. I have since I was a kid. And I'm not a really good impressionist, but I think if you just get in the ballpark, people enjoy something like that, you know?
Yeah.
And so there was this guy, I think I did one of these. Did I do a Martin Yan, the Chinese chef? He's actually Vietnamese, you know, and he's like, this noodle ball, best broth ever. You know, he just yells a lot. Yeah, okay, good. Oh, sorry. No, I screwed it up.
That's all right.
Yeah. I watched his cooking show, and he's just like, and cut. And he's got like this knife, and he's just really outrageously excited. Mm-hmm. And he's just really easy to impersonate. I thought he was super, super good to do. He's on PBS. It's called Yan Can Cook.
I think I've seen that once. That name's familiar anyway.
Martin Yan.
Also, I wanted to plug something real quick, and it's kind of funny that you're here because I was a guest on the Sketch Comedy Podcast show where I did a skit where I was playing the role of Father Time, and the host, Stuart Rice, played me, and that name might sound familiar. He was on a recent episode called The Best Chicken. It was a lot of fun, and I'll have a link to that in the show notes so people can check that out.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I've talked about on the show, but I haven't talked about with you yet, was the balloon incident.
Yeah. Yeah.
What happened was, this was after the last podcast Mike was on. I'm sitting at my desk. Mike is sitting on the couch in front of me if I turn in my chair. When I turn in my chair, I'm more or less facing the stairway than Mike. I have to turn a little more to face Mike. We were just casually talking after the show, and all of a sudden, I see this balloon coming down the stairway.
Yeah.
And
it was creepy. But keep in mind, when you said, like, yeah, I didn't see it until well after you saw it.
Yeah, so while Mike's talking, I'm watching this balloon and about shitting myself because there is absolutely no reason for this balloon to come down the stairs. We are in this house by ourselves.
Yeah.
The balloon comes down the stairs. It doesn't just stop when it gets to the bottom of the stairs.
Yeah.
It comes all the way into the room, more than halfway into the room now that I'm actually looking at the space, and just stops right in the middle of me and Mike in front of my entertainment center.
Yeah. And you know what? I heard it, and you just said, like, what the fuck? And then I heard this. I heard, pooh, 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 pooh. And I'm like, what is that? It sounded like it could have been an animal. I mean, I don't know. But then I see this balloon, and it didn't. You're right. And, you know, I'm a bit of a skeptic, and I don't really I've never had a ghost encounter. Mm-hmm. But that shit was scary. And, you know, so I'm still a little jumpy. And you know what? I feel bad because I bolted right the hell out of here after that. I'm like, hey, is there anybody upstairs? And you went and checked the upstairs. And
yeah. And everything was fine. There was just no conceivable way for this to happen.
It seems that, like, I could understand a balloon, you know, it's got helium in it. It leaks, it gets air in it. It gets heavier than, you know, air. And then it just goes down the stairs. But it wouldn't have come that way. It looked like it was and there was no air. There's no currents of air in here.
Yeah, because the last time you were here, it was a few months ago. So it wasn't like I was running the heat. I don't have air conditioning here right now anyway.
Yeah.
And the balloon was something that my kid brought back from cheer camp. They all blew the balloons up themselves.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like helium could have carried it this far. And just the momentum coming down the stairway, I don't see it traveling as far as it did. That doesn't make sense.
It was creepy. It was creepy, and I kind of feel bad that I may have abandoned you because I'm like, and did you notice I didn't even go out? And today, I'll tell you what, I'm not going out that way. I'm going out that sliding glass doorway.
I'm glad you mentioned that. The listeners don't know where he was pointing, but if you listen to one of the last episodes, it was with the psychic medium Karen Rontowski. She does tarot card readings. She's one of David Letterman's favorite tarot card readers. She's been on there a bunch of times. She came on the show to do a tarot reading for me. When she did, I know I talked about this on last episode, but you guys just bear with me. I got somebody here to talk about it with me instead of the last episode where I just talked about it by myself. But she did a tarot reading. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. I was sitting in this same chair where the last incident happened, and I smelled this overwhelming perfume smell to the point where I got out of my chair to go scold my youngest daughter because I thought she put on so much perfume I could smell it here.
Yeah.
I go to the stairway to yell up at her or just try to find her in general because that's the center point of the house. So wherever she is, if I'm standing there, she'll hear me. So I go over there. I start to yell for her. I notice she's in the living room, in my wife's living room. We have separate living rooms because we're fancy. And so I go into my wife's living room and I said, hey, what's the deal with all this perfume? And she said, I don't know what you're talking about. My wife's like, she's been in here for, a couple hours. She hasn't sprayed anything. And I said, come here real quick. They come in this room and they're like, whoa, yeah, that's weird. So now we're all like, well, there's too much of that smell in this room. So we go into her living room. Next thing you know, it's just wafted into there.
Okay.
And I thought, well, smells travel, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is. It's not the first time something like this has happened. It's happened. I think I've talked about it a few times on here where something like that has happened. She ends up leaving. I think she went to work. The kid went to school. And during the day, we always have the door to her living room shut. I'm working around the house. I go to put something in there. I opened that door, man, and it just hit me.
Yeah.
I mean, the smell just overtook that room.
Jeez.
Karen Rontowski comes on the show. I thought, what a better time than to ask her.
Yeah.
I asked her about it, and she said that she sees a heartbroken woman, and that's what the spirit is of a heartbroken woman.
Yeah.
This house was my childhood home. I was just so focused on it being my mom. I wanted it to be, my mother's here, and that's what it is. And she said, well, I see your mom's there, but that wasn't your mom.
Okay.
And I said, oh, well, are you sure? And I keep trying to change the narrative, man.
Yeah, because you want it to be your mom.
Yeah, but she's standing firm, which I got to respect about that. She's one of them people, she's not going to tell you what you want to hear. She might make it sound a little nicer than being an ass about it, but she sees what she sees. Well, the next day, I'm telling my dad what Karen said.
Uh-huh.
And I knew somebody had killed themselves here.
Ooh.
But I thought it was on the other side of the property where there used to be a house.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a guy.
Yeah.
Well, my dad said, well, there was a woman here that killed herself.
Uh-huh.
And I said, I thought it was a guy. And he was like, no. And I said, well, it was in this house? And he said, yeah. I said, I thought it was over there where there used to be a house. He said, no, it was right here.
Yeah.
It was in that room where the smell stayed.
Okay. That's how you get out of the house, through that room?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going out that way. Are you sure you want to talk about this? Are you going to ever get a guest on this show again? By the way, I'm looking at your cat right now is like my canary in a coal mine right now. I'm thinking the cat has extrasensory powers, and if he perks up, I'm looking around. I'll tell you what, if you better stay on my good side, or next time I come here, I'm going to just take a balloon, soak it with perfume, hide it upstairs before I leave, right at the teetering edge of the stairs. And I'm going to have a perfumey balloon just fall down the stairs. That was creepy, I tell you. And I feel bad, but I'm still going out that way. And then you could see daylight. You could see daylight going out that way. And I'm like, I got to go. I think I made a pretty hasty exit. I did want to. I think I asked you if you were okay.
Yeah.
And at first I'm thinking, holy cow, someone's up there messing with us. And I'm like, is anybody in the house? And you're like, no one's in the house. And you went and checked. And I'm like, oh, geez. I had your phone ready. Mm-hmm. And that was a creepy one. But I'm back.
So when I do these podcasts, I always make sure my wife and kids leave. Just that way we feel more free to talk about whatever we want.
Sure.
And they don't have to feel like they can't walk through the house without making noise and shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
an interesting thing, and I'm hoping for not a repeat. And I'm still keeping an eye on Mr. Kitty, just to see what is. As a matter of fact, there's a water bottle, there's a bottle in his way. I'm just going to move that to see if I can keep an eye on his face. I'm serious. I got to keep looking at you, bud. Go ahead, keep sleeping, and that is just beautiful.
We are going to do something for only the second time in this podcast history. It's the second ever Guest Choice Dumbass of the Year.
Ooh.
I like these choices. There's a city in Maine that is seeking the owner of some dentures that was left at a polling place. They were found in an unmarked plastic bag.
Polling? Like voting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they went to vote and just left their dentures.
Okay.
I'm not sure. They had them in a plastic bag, so it might just be a prank, which is why I decided, we're going to make this guest choice. We'll talk it out.
Yeah.
But it sounds like something that maybe an 18-year-old did where they found some dentures and they thought, you know what, I'm going to leave these here. I can't see anybody going into a polling place and thinking, I need to take these teeth out so I can get comfortable voting, and I'll just put them in a bag and sit them here for a minute.
I'm thinking that's probably what happened, though. It happens a lot in the nursing home.
The second option is anybody. I don't know who the dumbass in this scenario would be. It's either the person who buys it or the person who made it. It's an $895 dress that looks like a dry cleaner's plastic wrap. It's a clear dress. It's called a Cape Sheer overlay dress. It's got a white paper portion at the top to look like the hanger, and it says, "We heart our customers." And then towards the bottom in red, it says, "Free pickup and delivery."
So someone designed that, probably because they want repeat business after it gets ruined and thrown away. That is crazy.
Designed might be overstating it.
I think it might have been. Yeah, it's kind of like, wow, look at this. Which is the wrapper? Which is the actual dress? That's okay. Yeah. So how does this work? I'm supposed to pick one?
Yeah.
Can I tell my uncle's denture story, or do you want to hear about it after that?
No,
okay.
Go for it.
The reason I think I'm going to go with the denture one is because my uncle passed away after getting his dentures. You got to wait like sometimes a month to get new dentures. You got to wait. They got to go make them. Maybe it ain't a month. Maybe it's a couple weeks. So he passed away in between that. And then the dentist was calling my dad, who is the executor of his estate, and we need the other half of the money. Like, where's the money? Because you got to put half down, half when you pick up. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, like, this is the dumbest dentist ever. Like, you're going to give a 93-year-old guy dentures. You're only going to make him pay half down? And it's like, what are you going to do? Like, so I think my dad actually was trying to talk about paying the guy. I'd like to talk to that dentist, like, hey, doc, this doesn't happen to you at all. Like, you don't have people die before picking up their dentures. Nope, that doesn't happen at all, hardly at all. And then, no, I'm just kidding. Here, come to my hidden room of people's unclaimed dentures. Big room opens up. Oh my God, look at this. We made these into a wind chime. Like, I want the bottle opener. Oh, denture bottle opener. I want it. I'm telling you. And then you look at, like, my aunt was in the nursing home and she lost her uppers. I'm going to go with denture guy because it reminds me of my Uncle Joe, but also because I think it was somebody who just like, hey, my teeth are falling out, put them in a bag, leave them there. And then you get like, oh my God, I forgot something, but I don't know what it is. You're just driving home. Well, I know what it is. I forgot something.
Let me retrace my steps.
Yeah, let me retrace my steps. Sure, let me see if I can. Just when I eat these potato chips, I just realized. Nope, still don't know. Yeah, take care of your dentures, man. That's like the thing you gotta keep them in your teeth, keep them in your mouth. I guess if you can, even if the adhesive ain't working or whatever.
Well, do you got anything you want to plug before we go?
Well, I got to say that, like, people were very on Facebook, because I am a Facebook user. Mm-hmm. People were very supportive. They overreacted a little bit because they see certain things. My series that is on YouTube called Science with Mike is and was through Sinclair Community College on Facebook, because I'm a Facebook user. It is also going to be streamed by Think TV in Dayton on a website called STEM World. And the whole idea is, like, they want to get teenagers to go into technical careers. So you can go to I'll give you a link, I guess, but www.thinktv.org/STEMworld, and you'll see under teens, you see my pretty ugly face, or at least my logo.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Sure.
And I want to thank everybody who's emailed me lately. I noticed since October 22nd, I've gotten at least one email a day, and I don't usually read them on the show, but I do reply to each one, and it means a lot to me. I do want to read this email, though. It says, "Hi, Jason. My name is Gough from Beernuts Productions, a film company based in the Gold Coast. I am the first blind person in the world to write, edit, produce, direct, and star in a feature film unassisted. That took place back in 2010. It was a documentary about disability and mental health, which I received wonderful reception. Since then, I have gone on to make 13 other short films, most of which are comedy-based, produced 7 audio downloads, 20-minute-long comedy sketches, and wrote 4 books, most of which are comedy-based. I would love the opportunity to discuss with you further my work, as I feel I would be unique and interesting and above all entertaining for your audience. I completely agree with that. He's been on the BBC and Australia's ABC, and now he's making his debut on WDHC, that's We Don't Have Cookies. When I come back, I will be joined by Gough."
I am UFC Hall of Famer Dan the B7, and you're listening to We Don't Have Cookies. You had better listen, otherwise I know where you live.
Hello, Mr. Mirman?
Yes.
Hi, sir. My name is Naughty Hooks. I'm calling from Imperial Majesty Cruise Lines regarding your complimentary cruise that you recently received for taking a survey.
Yes.
Were you expecting our call?
Sure. I mean, was I hoping it wouldn't happen? A little.
Oh, okay. Congratulations, Eugene, on your 2-day, 2-night cruise on Imperial Majesty Cruise Lines to Nassau, Bahamas. And we at Ramada Plaza Resorts would like to thank you for taking the time of your day and helping with the survey. And what a great reward for helping with the survey, don't you agree?
No, I mean, probably not. We'll find out. I'm sure there's some weird catch where you're, like, where I
No, only thing that...
Aha! There is a weird catch. The only thing is no pants. No wearing pants.
Basically, your cruise is paid for. The only thing is $59 per person port fees, and that's just governmental taxes to allow you and the second party to go across international waters.
Aha. No, I have a feeling you're trying to, like, kill me, because it does seem suspicious. Well, because it seems so suspiciously nice, and it's like, why would Ramada Inn do this? Why is Ramada Inn so nice?
We're like in awe ourselves. But it's just
you're in awe of your own generosity? Yeah,
because it's basically this is the first time we ever gave away complimentary cruises.
It's all so weird.
The 118 is basically the activated cruise certificate.
Wait, so you're saying you would like $118 from me right now? Anyway, I guess I probably don't want to do this, but thank you so much for taking the time. I actually also have a reward for taking the time to listen to me to ask you questions, except for it's not a cruise. It's actually just like a box of fruit that I would like to send you now. But I need a $35 fruit activation fee. It would be kind of funny if I did have a reward for this sort of thing for people who called me.
Well, that's why I'm calling you, to let you know you do have a complimentary cruise for taking a survey.
And you won a thing of fruit that I mail people who put up with me talking to them. So the cruise is $118, but for you the fruit is $35.
That's your governmental taxes to allow you to travel in and out of the country across the international water.
And my fee is only a fruit processing fee. So, it's this sort of break even. But why don't we just say I send you $83, we'll kind of split the difference. I'll send the fruit and you send the package. No, I don't think I want it. But do you want to activate my fruit gift package for $35?
No, that's up to you. If you really want your cruise to Nassau, Bahamas, that's up to you to activate your cruise certificate.
What I'm asking is if you want to activate your certificate for me to mail you fruit for $35.
You don't need no certificate to get fruit.
You do if you want me to mail you fruit. You do need a certificate.
Why are you trying to make this so difficult?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's what the thing is for. It's because I make it difficult. That's why I send fruit. Because I make it difficult. That's what I'm trying to get at. But no, thank you so much for your time. And I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
And now, Comedy A Go-Go presents Fake Advice for New Comics.
The longer you take to get on stage, the happier it makes the host.
Want to contact the show? Send an email to jason@wedon'thavecookies.com or call 929-266-9342 and leave a voicemail.
All right, we're back. And with me right now is the owner of Beernuts Productions, Gough. How you doing?
Very well, Jason, and yourself?
I'm doing great. It's good to have you on the show.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me on.
I have to ask, is Gough your given name?
No. Gough was a nickname that was given to me. In Australia, there's a very famous rock band called the Whitlams, who's named after a former Australian Prime Minister called Gough Whitlam. And back when I was in my university days, I used to annoy everybody with Whitlam's CDs. I used to play them at 4, 5 in the morning. We'd get home from the pub and I'd be playing Whitlam CDs and wake up the entire campus. And so everybody just started calling me Gough as a nickname. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to go with it. And so when I started up Beernuts Productions, I thought, well, I'll just drop the surname and we'll just go with Gough, a one-word name like Madonna, So we'll be the filmmaker with the rock star name.
And the other thing that I really like about that name is you don't capitalize the first letter.
Yeah, well, I don't want to be pretentious about it. You know what I mean? So we'll just stick with a nice Gough.
For some reason, it really just makes me happy to see it. And other things that make me happy is your latest project called The Environment, The Real Truth. It's a fun mockumentary that doesn't get too heavy-handed or preachy one side or the other of the subject. Instead, you're just having fun in terms of the people you interviewed in the mockumentary.
I get into moods where I just like making one type of film. So we did a bunch of like comedy chat shows a while ago, and now I'm on the mockumentary bandwagon. So we did one about drugs, and we've done one about the porn industry, and now we've done one about the environment. So yeah, the one that you just watched is our latest one, which is, as you say, the environment, the real truth. And that's essentially, we're dropping truth bombs all about the environment. I interview a park ranger, a conservationist, and a couple of scientists, and they tell us all the facts all about the environment as they see them in a completely ludicrous and nonsensical way.
Like bringing to light the plight of the hammerhead koala.
The hammerhead polar bear.
That's right.
Bear. Yeah, I mean, not too many people would have heard of the hammerhead polar bear, mainly because it's a completely fictional animal. But besides that, I mean, it's a terrible story about the hammerhead polar bear, the poor little guy. So yeah, people will learn all about him if they watch the film.
Maybe there is a hammerhead polar bear, and we just haven't found it yet.
that could be true. Just don't know what's lurking under those glaciers, do you? Eh?
You're going to look like Nostradamus here if that comes to light.
I am. Actually, you might find this funny. The lady Ilya who does my graphic artwork, she sent me back a picture of the hammerhead polar bear after she'd invented it. And I said, yeah, I wanted more cuddly but vicious. So she added some bloody fangs for me, which gave the vicious side of it. So, I wanted to go with cuddly but vicious, So you want to stroke it and give it a hug, but it could also rip your throat out. So, that's where I was going with that one.
Well, I really enjoyed the cast of the show, too. Are you involved in that side as well?
Absolutely. I'm surprised, actually, that more directors don't cast their own films, or writers at least. Because, I mean, when I'm writing the script, I have their voice in my head, so I know exactly what I want to hear because the delivery of the lines is crucial in any film. I mean, if something's not believable, then the audience just taken right away, So it's really important that your cast is right. So, I mean, I go through a very exhaustive casting process when I do any film to make sure that I'm getting exactly the right kind of people. And it's very rarely is it based on look. It's all about the performance for me. I need to make sure that they absolutely nail the jokes 110%. I mean, we're not a big budget company, so I don't have weeks and weeks of time to rehearse with them. We do rehearse, but I don't have, a whole heap of time. So I need to know that they're professionals and that they can absolutely nail the jokes perfectly. And that all comes through in the audition process. If they get the jokes in the audition process, then it's going to be pretty easy to work with them throughout the whole rehearsals and then filming process.
It was easy to tell that there was a lot of care taken with the casting side because everybody played their part so well. There was at one point, I don't want to give too much away, but one of my favorite parts was you asked a guy, do you always overact? And I liked how you broke down the fourth wall, but you did it so well that it still kept you in that same realm. It was very well done.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I like that kind of stuff. It's important if you're going to make fun. I'm a big believer in if you're going to make fun of one particular thing, you need to make fun of everything. I mean, you can't be picky or biased or anything like that. I mean, if one person's fair game, then we're all fair game. So, I think it's important that everybody gets their equal share. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And one of the things, like I said, going back to the casting that really stood out while I'm watching, I kept thinking, man, I would like to have that person on the show. And then you had somebody else on. And that's what makes it for me is watching something and thinking you would like to have that person on as a guest. I mean, even the mother in the beginning scene, I'm like, I would like to talk to her someday. It was very well done.
It was funny when we were filming with Kate at rehearsals, she stopped sort of halfway through and she looks at me and she goes, she's a really horrible person, isn't she? I said, yeah, she kind of is. Yeah, that's pretty much what we're going for. And she's okay, all right, cool. I can get behind that. So yeah, but Kate, the woman that played the mother, she's a very experienced Australian actor. She's been mainly theatre stuff. She does a lot of theatre work around the country, but she has done some film and TV as well. But yeah, she's a wonderful actor. So I was really happy to get her on board with this project.
Well, going back to you, what led you into filmmaking?
Well, filmmaking is something I've always wanted to do. Ever since I was a kid, I was always sort of writing scripts and books and plays and all of that kind of stuff. And then when I got older, my first job was I was a touring stand-up comedian for many years. And then I also worked in radio as an audio producer, so making their commercials and promos and all that kind of stuff. And I still was writing and all that sort of gear. And I was sitting on all these scripts and trying to get them made, and just nobody really wanted to help out at all. So I thought, well, you know what? I'll just start making them myself. So I started up Beernuts Productions and got busy making my own work, you know, because I figure if I want to get it done, the best way to do it is to just do it myself. So yeah, that's pretty much how it all unfolded, really.
Well, you've made a lot of movies so far, at least 13. Apart from your latest, which one stands out to you the most and why?
Look, I love them all, to be honest. They're all my children kind of thing, you know. But
I was about to say, it's kind of like picking your favorite child, isn't it?
Well, it really is, because, I mean, I put a lot of effort into the writing process and then casting. I mean, it's my full-time job. It's what I do. So they take up a good portion of my life for a few months, you know. So Simon, who's my main right-hand man, his favourite is the advertising meeting, because it's just for those people that work in the advertising industry, because Simon worked in the advertising industry for a while, I think that's why he likes it so much. And it's essentially, you know, you've got a group of people sitting around a desk to come up for a pitch for Auntie Beryl's Burger Hut to make their sales more, you see, and they just, all these personal secrets and crazy behaviour just start happening around this boardroom meeting, you know. So he very much liked that one. But yeah, I'm a big fan. Like I say, I'm in a mockumentary kind of a mode, and the one we did before, the War on Drugs, that one got a really great reaction as well. So I was very happy with how the War on Drugs turned out as well. It's just like the environment, you know, I take a subject and I just rip it to shreds pretty much. So yeah.
I gotta say, when I watched the one that we started talking about in the first place, The Environment, The Real Truth, it just goes by so fast. It was a really fun film to watch.
Yeah, well, all of the films go for about 25 minutes. So, yeah, the environment one goes for about 25 minutes, and most of my work does. So when people watch them, they are getting, you know, value for money sort of thing, because, you know, I always like to make sure that we're 20 minutes or above with anything I do. So when we say short films, they are short films, but I suppose some might consider them to be little TV episodes as well, you know? So, yeah.
Well, you've also written quite a few books as well.
That's right, and my next project is actually going to be a book. That'll be released in about a week or so, and that one's called Who is Chris? And so essentially the reader has to try and figure out who this strange, unusual guy called Chris is, because we hear from 7 different people give their takes on who they think Chris is, and then we have 6 little snapshots of Chris's life, and so the reader's got to figure out, who is this dude? Is he a bad guy? Is he a good guy? What sort of a guy is he? What's his story? What's his past? What's he trying to achieve, you know? So it's a bit mysterious like that. It's still a comedy kind of a film, but it's a little bit darker, this one. That's the latest project, is going to be Who is Chris? And that'll be out, hopefully next week it'll be out. So people can jump on beernutsproductions.com and download that one as well, hopefully, and get a good laugh and enjoy that book, yeah.
Yeah, sounds like a good read. Now, you mentioned stand-up comedy. Your dad was a pretty famous stand-up comedian in Australia. Was it hard to break away from his image, either in your mind or the public's perception, and do your own brand of comedy?
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely it was, because, yeah, he was quite well known around Australia. So I found it difficult when I started doing stand-up. My routine's obviously very different to what he used to do. But, yeah, it was very difficult with the audience. And then even when I went overseas, I remember I was doing a show in Edmonton in Canada. It was the Comedy Factory in Edmonton, and it's up the top of a bowling alley. So, I mean, we're not – it's no Hollywood Improv that I was at, you know what I mean? And this guy comes up to me and he goes, you know, are you Dave Gray's son? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, yeah, I'm from Tasmania in Australia. And I thought you were, because apparently I look quite a lot like him as well, which doesn't help. So I was like, man, I just can't escape this. This is incredible. But, I did enjoy doing the stand-up comedy, but it was more of a stepping stone to get into what I'm doing now, you know, because I was, like I say, I was always writing and stuff. I just was doing the comedy as a nice little fun side gig, and also to help my writing and performance skills, because I think people sort of misunderstand a little. I mean, some of the great actors that we've had have been comedians, because when you get on stage, you're performing, you're acting every time you jump on that stage. So that's why somebody like a Robin Williams, for example, was such a fantastic actor. It's because every night he did stand-up, he's practicing his acting skills. So he's acting pretty much every day of his life. That's why I think that comedians make such fantastic actors.
And he was a great example of that.
Yeah, no, he's one of my favourites. I was devastated when he passed away. He's one of my all-time favourites, Robin Williams.
Well, one question I like to ask all people who come on that do stand up, do you have a good bombing story?
A good bombing story? Yeah, I got a couple. This one's probably the best, actually. So I was at a place in Melbourne called the Comics Lounge, and it's the biggest comedy club in Melbourne, holds 600 people. So if you bomb there, it's like crickets. You're performing to 600 people. I mean, it's not a good look. So I'm working, and I'm going really, really well. But there was this guy in the middle of the crowd who was just heckling, and he just would not stop. And so I had my usual couple of lines that I give to hecklers and that kind of stuff. And I'd lost my patience, which is very unprofessional on my part. But I just sort of lost my patience. And I just said to him, I said, hey, mate, look, don't mess with me. I'm a pro, just like your mother. And apparently he stood up and he started rushing the stage, and his mates had to hold him back. And he was yelling. And I thought, he still wants to go, does he? So then I followed that one up with this little gem of, mate, I don't know why you're being so mean to me. You were so gentle in the toilets half an hour ago. And apparently he had like six of his, again, I couldn't see this, but apparently he had like six of his mates like pulling him back. And then, the crowd sort of turned on me after that. They didn't like me so much after that because they thought I was being too harsh on him, which I probably was. And then I get off stage and the MC looks at me as I've come off stage and he goes, yeah, you probably went a little bit too hard on that guy, I think. And I'm going, yeah, you're probably right there. Yeah. So it was a contrasting gig because the first half was going great. And as soon as I nailed this guy too hard, it just went downhill fast. So, yeah.
And that's something that I've talked to other comedians about, is that fine line where you're allowed to fire back, but there's also that point where the audience is going to think you went too far, and next thing you know, even though all you were doing was defending yourself, they turn on you. It's hard to find out where that line is sometimes.
I'm sure other comedians have probably, if they haven't said this on the show, I'm sure you've heard this from other comedians just around the place as well, and that is the worst audience or worst audience member to ever have is you guys. I'm pretty sure, because I've been to the States, I'm pretty sure you guys call them hens parties, when the bride goes out for, the same as a butts party, except with the bachelorette parties, yeah. The worst audience member is never her. She's always really cool. It's always the mother of the bride or the mother-in-law of the bride. They're the ones, because they've had too much champagne, they're like 60 or 50 or 60, and they're giving it all the mouth, and they're just loud and obnoxious. But you can't say anything. I mean, it's a 50-year-old woman. You can't destroy a 50-year-old woman. I mean, you're a prick if you do that. You know what I mean? Yeah. You're an arsehole. So you can't really do anything. I mean, if it's a young 21-year-old guy who's had too much to drink, you can go pretty hard on him, because everybody loves that. But if it's like a 50-year-old mother of the bride-to-be, you can't really do anything. And they are the worst audience members because they're always drunk. They've always got too much to say. And funnily enough, like I say, it's never the bachelorette. She's really pretty cool and, just out for a good time and whatnot. It's always the drunk mother-in-law or mother of the bride, and you just can't do nothing about it. It's terrible. It's really bad.
Do you still perform stand-up?
No, I haven't done a gig in a long time now. I reckon, about 2000 maybe 11 or 10 or something like that was probably my last gig, maybe 2011. So, yeah, it's a long time since I've done it because the films and stuff really take up all of my time now. So I just plumb don't have time, which is a bit of a shame. But, I mean, I much prefer doing what I'm doing now anyway. But the only drawback with what I do now to stand-up, when I used to do stand-up comedy, you get the laughs straight away. Whereas, obviously, when I make a film, people download and they watch it in their lounge room. I don't get that instant gratification, that I used to get. So that's the one drawback, I suppose. But, yeah, no, I much prefer what I do now, absolutely.
Well, we talked about your book coming out in about a week. What's next for you and Beernuts Productions?
The next film, because like I say, I'm in a mockumentary kind of mood, the next film's going to be all about the fitness industry and ripping the fitness industry apart. So it's a day in the life of a personal trainer. So we go through this female personal trainer, and we with her from like the moment she wakes up to the moment she goes to bed, and we follow her throughout the day to see what happens during her day pretty much. And so it's essentially, ripping the shit out of the personal training, fitness kind of industry, because it's a reasonably easy one to make fun of, that particular industry. So that'll be the next film.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Is there anything that you'd like to promote before we go?
Just to let everybody know that beernutsproductions.com is where they need to go for all their entertainment needs. So jump on the website. We got tons of films. We got audio sketches as well as books, like you mentioned. We got The Environment, the new film that you watched, which hopefully people download and enjoy. And the new book, like I say, will be coming out in about a week. So there's plenty going on. So just check out the website. And we're also all over social media as well. So if you just type in Beernuts Productions into your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, I'll come up, and like us and follow us and all that good stuff. Yeah, just enjoy my work is my number one message, I suppose. I'm here to entertain everybody. I'm not going to be happy until I've entertained 7 billion people on this earth. That's when I'll be happy.
That's a great goal. I like that. Well, I want to thank you for coming on the show, and hopefully we'll have you on again when your next project comes out.
I'd love to come on. Thank you, Jason. It's been a lot of fun chatting with you.
Well, that's it for us, everybody. Please go to WeDon'tHaveCookies.com. While you're there, you can get all the contact info to send an email or leave a voicemail, links to the Facebook page so you can like that, places to subscribe to the show. All the archives are right there, everything you need. It would also help a lot if you clicked on the Get Involved tab at the top of the page. You'll find ways to help the show, most of which are free. The easiest way to help the show is spread the word, so make sure you tell your friends. I want to thank you for downloading the show. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll talk to you Thursday.
Thanks for listening. Tell your friends about the show and leave a review. See you next time.
I was very happy with how the war on drugs turned out.